In 1992, I was going into the Olympics as the world champion, the best rower in the world, and I was really looking forward to having a great Olympic experience and maybe winning a gold medal. But 10 weeks before the Olympics, I had an accident. I was broadsided by another boat at a training session in Essen, Germany, and was rushed to the trauma center in Essen, Germany, and they told me that I had a massive injury to my leg. My ankle was broken, I had severed muscles, a lot of skin damage, and the doctors there said to me that I wouldn't row at the Olympics and perhaps may not even row competitively again. So during those first few days, I felt an unbelievable amount of emotion. I mean, certainly felt really disappointed that this had happened. I kind of didn't really quite believe, because I'd been so focused on rowing at the Olympics and that was my goal, and suddenly there were the doctors telling me I couldn't do it. But part of me just couldn't believe that I wasn't going to the Olympics, because this is something that I dreamed about for so long. It's something that I wanted so badly, that I'd worked so hard for. And so those first few days in the hospital, I decided to start doing exercises with my upper body. I attached bungee cords to the end of my bed, and I would sit up in my bed, and I couldn't move my leg yet, but I could sit up and kind of row with these bungee cords at the end of my bed. And I spent 10 days in the hospital in Germany and 10 days in Victoria at Royal Jubilee Hospital, 20 days in all. And during that time, I worked my upper body. I started to strengthen my other leg as best I could. I also had several operations and a skin graft, and a few days after getting out of the hospital, I got back into the boat again and started to try to row. And there was 10 weeks between my accident and the Olympic Games, and through a lot of hard work and a lot of people helping me, I was able to recover, much to the amazement of my physicians and pretty well everybody around me, probably at some level, including myself. Well, I think we all have goals and we all have things that we dream about, and part of us really believes it, and another part battles always with doubt. Can I do it? Am I good enough? Is this goal too big? So there's always that conflict in everybody between what you really want and some of the evidence around you that it's going to be hard to do, that you're not there yet. And so that's the kind of thing I was battling too when I was recovering. I really wanted to do it. I really believed in some deep part of myself that I could. I've always been really active. As a child, I didn't really do organized sport as a child. I mostly ran around the neighborhood, walked to school, played on my bicycles, and the more that I've talked to Olympic athletes, the more I've noticed that is their experience. Most Olympic athletes have gotten the lion's share of their activity just through either working on a farm or riding bikes or walking to school. That's how your body is developing in those early ages. And I think that even at the top level, sport should be fun. If you're not finding joy in it, if you're not experiencing the process of working towards your dreams as fun, then you're not going to have the motivation to do it every single day. Play is something that I think keeps children healthy. It's a way of laying the foundation for getting involved in sport later in life. And the power of play is the power of play to re-energize children, to ignite their imaginations, to move their bodies, to feel good about themselves. These are all things available just simply through hopscotch, through skipping, through soccer, through playing basketball at the schoolyard. It doesn't have to be structured, it doesn't have to be expensive. It's just about getting out a ball and using it with your friends. Every sport that you do prepares you for the next sport. Every sport that you do develops your body, teaches you skills that you then take on. It's like everything you learn adds up to something, and the same thing about sport. I was physically active, I played, I walked to school. All that helped me become a competitive runner. When I was finished with competitive running, I became a competitive rower, and then I improved really quickly because I had that foundation, that physical training from being a runner before and then just being physical active before. I think that my love for rowing came instantaneously. I got into the boat, I was pushed off the dock, I put my oars in the water, and just, the moment I lifted my oars off the water, the boat felt like it was surging out from underneath me, and the movement was so graceful, it was so powerful all at the same time. I just fell in love with it. I wanted to do it again, I wanted to get that feeling again. I tipped so often rowing. This first summer that I rowed, I tipped over 20 times. And I say now that I learned as much from tipping the boat as I learned from rowing it well, because I figured out that if I was going to get good at rowing, and probably if I was going to get good at anything in life, that I probably should get used to being dumped into the river and getting back into the boat. The ability to keep trying, the ability to persevere is probably the thing that separates athletes who have been really successful in sport and those. I was fortunate in that both my parents really appreciated movement. With my mom, we went walking and got fresh air every single day, you know. My dad had a passion for soccer, so often on weekends we'd spend time with him, kicking the ball in the backyard. And Nadia Comaneci was at the Montreal Olympics, astounding the world with her grace and her perfection. First perfect 10 ever scored in the sport of gymnastics. So I looked up to her, and I actually thought that maybe I'd be a gymnast, but I'm 5'11", I'm not very flexible, so I had to readjust my dreams into something more realistic. It's so much more fun to do activity together, to find somebody in the neighborhood that we can play with, to join a soccer team or a soccer league or a house league, whatever it is, so that you're in with groups of people. And it's always intimidating, I think, in the beginning, joining a team. When I was 8, 9, I was intimidated to try out for any team, so I stuck to individual sports. I sort of wish now that I'd had more confidence to try out for more for the team sports, because they can be really fun. You can learn a lot about each other. That often success is a matter of moving through a lot of failures, that you can have a lot of setbacks, you can have a lot of times when it's not going well, but the important thing is being able to get up and try again. And everybody has failures, everybody has setbacks, absolutely everybody, no matter what level they are. And you might think they're superhuman, you might watch them on TV and go, wow, I wish I could be like that, but that person has wanted to give up. That person has had times when they really doubted themselves, whether they could do it, and that they just wanted to quit because it was so hard. It's the ability to keep going and keep pushing and get up every single time. To me, that's how we get the really great things in life. It's through persevering, it's through trying again. And there's fear there. Every single person is afraid to fail. At some level, if they set a goal, they're a little bit afraid that they won't make it. And that sometimes stops people from even trying. It might stop you from even trying something that you really want to do. But when you start to acknowledge and understand that even the most accomplished people that you look up to, have that fear, but they just fight through it, they push through it. I think that's very helpful. I enjoyed the medals more than the awards, because the medals were a reflection of a race that I raced, a race that I won, something that I trained for and earned. I remember winning the World Championships in 1991. The first time in my life I was the world champion, the fastest rower in the world, and I was just, I couldn't believe that I'd actually achieved this thing that I dreamed so long about. The honors, the awards, they give me a warm feeling, but they're not necessarily a feeling of accomplishment. It's just, isn't it nice to be recognized in the BC Sports Hall of Fame? Isn't it nice to be acknowledged by my peers? Whatever level of sport you'd like to get to, the important thing is that you play, that you get outside, you move your body, and all of that is going to help you so much if eventually you decide to pursue high-level sport.